Hi everyone, it's Charlie. You've probably seen the news. Robert Pattinson is apparently going to be our next Batman in Matt Reeves' The Batman trilogy, or however many movies he winds up doing. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on about this. I know you want to know what the movie is supposed to be about and why they're going with Robert Pattinson, why Ben Affleck isn't going to be the Batman of Matt Reeves' movies. So we'll break it down, no worries. Naturally, as you'd expect, reactions are all over the place. Anytime there's a new Batman, everybody freaks out, for better or for worse. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Batman and DC videos. Remember, Comic-Con is happening this summer. We're going to get a whole bunch more trailers, and we'll find out what's going on with the rest of the Justice League characters, including the Flash and probably Superman as well. So big news, last night Variety was reporting that Robert Pattinson has been selected as the next Batman for Matt Reeves' trilogy. There were a lot of other news outlets that were also saying that the studio was considering Nicholas Hoult and they haven't completely settled on who it's going to be, but Variety is usually pretty solid with their scoops, so unless they come out in the next couple of days and say otherwise, I'm assuming that Robert Pattinson is going to be our next Batman. I know the first thing you're thinking is wait a minute, that Twilight vampire guy that sparkles is going to be our next Batman? What's up with that? Robert Pattinson has actually done a lot of really solid work post-Twilight, and if you really do hate those Twilight movies, I guarantee you that Robert Pattinson hates them more than you. This is a short montage of him hating the Twilight movies in a bunch of different interviews that'll make you feel a little bit better about him.
Did your Twilight experience turn out to be what you expected?
Oh, when I read it, it seemed like it was a book that wasn't supposed to be published.
Definitely something wrong with her, and there's very obviously something wrong with me.
I was convinced that Stephanie was convinced she was Bella. And especially when she says, oh, it was based on a dream, and it's like, oh, I had this dream about this really sexy guy, and she just writes this book about it. It's like, this woman is mad.
So now that we've established that Robert Pattinson hates the Twilight movies as much as you, what is the story of his movie going to be? How old is he going to be? How are they going to associate him with the other Justice League characters in present day? Because this is supposed to be a prequel, that's why they cast an actor that was so young. The interesting thing, though, is that Christian Bale, I think, was 31 when he was cast to be Batman in Batman Begins, and right now Robert Pattinson is 33, so he's older than Christian Bale when Christian Bale became Batman. Right now, the period of this first movie is supposed to be somewhere around Batman Year One period. Matt Reeves defined it as a story that would define who he was going forward, so it's just a really epic thing that happens to him early in his career that completely changes him going forward. Last year, insiders were calling Matt Reeves' script a version of Batman Mask of the Phantasm with a few of the characters swapped, and Batman Mask of the Phantasm is one of the best Batman movies of all time. It just happens to be animated, so if you're gonna crib from other Batman stories, that's one of the better ones to do. Matt Reeves said he wanted to take the franchise back to a very classic place, so it's meant to be Batman, the world's greatest detective. It's going to be a detective neo-noir thriller. The thing about modern Batman films is that with the Christian Bale films, as awesome as the Dark Knight trilogy is, Batman turned into more of a big action spectacle film with a lot of toys and a lot of big explosions all over the place. They kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When we got to Zack Snyder, it got even bigger and bigger and further away from his roots as a detective. So Matt Reeves is taking him back to that. So obviously it's going to be a complete reimagining of what the franchise looks like. The look and feel, as well as the cape and cowl, the characters, everything from the ground up is going to be reimagined. Your follow-up question then is why isn't Ben Affleck going to be Batman in Matt Reeves' movie? Because it would be pretty easy for them to do a detective movie with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck actually gave the answer to that himself. They said that basically there were two competing versions of the movie. There was the Ben Affleck, Jeff Johns script that he was working on the past couple of years while he was doing his Zack Snyder films. I'll play the clip of him talking about it in a second, but per his explanation, he just couldn't come up with a version of the movie that he felt was really exciting, really compelling, and that the studio liked.
I've read and I've seen announcements to the effect of that you will not be Batman again.
I am, yeah. I have decided. No, thank you very much. Yeah. You know, I tried to direct a version of it and worked with a really good screenwriter, but just kind of couldn't come up with a version that couldn't crack it. And so I thought it was like, you know, time to let someone else take a shot at it. They got some really good people.
So we unofficially passed the baton to Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves' version, obviously, as I said, is world's greatest detective Batman. It's a completely different take on the character, and it's a prequel, so it's a much younger version of the character. Moving forward now, I know your next question is who's the main villain of this new Batman film? Matt Reeves actually revealed that there would be a number of Batman's rogues gallery villains in the movie, but early rumors were that the Penguin would be the main villain. They have to do a lot of world building for whatever this new version of Gotham is going to look like, so just expect a lot of Batman's core villains to pop up through the film. Next big question, what about his Selina Kyle Catwoman? She didn't show up anywhere during any of the recent DCEU films. She might actually be showing up somewhere during the Matt Reeves films because she was not cast for the Birds of Prey movie. That movie's supposed to be a girl gang of pseudo anti-hero characters. Catwoman is probably the biggest female anti-hero from the Batman comics next to Harley Quinn. I would go so far to say is that Catwoman is even less of a villain and more of a hero than Harley Quinn. Usually when huge characters like that are not cast in films that seem very appropriate for them, it's because they're bookmarked for other films. So don't be surprised if she winds up showing up somewhere in this Matt Reeves film. But I know the next question after that is will Robert Pattinson also play Batman in the next Justice League movie? Won't that be weird if they only recast some of the DCEU Justice League characters from the last film? So what'll probably happen is that he would have to sign a 3 to 5 picture deal for a trilogy of Matt Reeves Batman films and then potentially a couple other crossover films way down the line. But recently, as part of the big shakeup, as the way they're changing this universe, is that Warner Brothers said that it's going to be a long time before they do another Justice League movie, so don't be surprised if we get 2 or 3 Matt Reeves Batman movies before you see them do another Justice League film. Really good example of how fast their timeline is moving is that the Aquaman sequel is not going to happen for another 3.5 years. That is a glacially slow pace, so for the most part, all the different DC films are allowed to be their own thing, with very, very loose crossover and references to the other characters within the films. Wonder Woman 1984 and the Aquaman movie are great examples of that. Wonder Woman set during the past, so obviously no big characters are going to cross over into that. Aquaman referenced a couple of Justice League things from the events of that movie, but you didn't see any other big Justice League characters show up during it.
You defeated Steppenwolf and saved Atlantis.
That had nothing to do with Atlantis.
So that is the level of crossover that we're going for. And then you ask, what about the Flash movie? I'll talk about that in a second too, because what's happening this summer at Comic-Con is they're probably going to drop the full Wonder Woman 1984 trailer because that movie's coming out next year. And Ezra Miller really does seem like he's going to be out as the Flash.
But if I win, you're off the team.
You probably heard the story about how they were giving him a chance to write a version of the movie with Grant Morrison. DC also hired the Spider-Man Far From Home guys to direct the movie and to write it. So right now, Ezra Miller is competing with them for his script in the film, and people are saying that it's just his bid to try and stay on as the Flash before they recast him.
It's getting really good. It's getting really good now. You know, anyone who knows anything about Barry Allen knows that he's always late. But then when he arrives, he gets stuff done. And that's definitely how this film's production schedule is proceeding. We're a little late, but we're really, you know, the reason why we're late, and this is the honest to God truth, is the reason why we're late is because we're all, and I include myself in this, we are very meticulously focused on making a movie that's not just like one of the greatest superhero movies that we can possibly make. This movie's also going to be a gift to the fans, you know. This movie is going to be a real pure offering to the fans of this material. And we've hit a couple points in the script's development where we've looked at it and gone, this isn't it. This isn't it yet. It has to be, and you know, we're talking about sparking a whole new universe, which is, it's not just the DC multiverse, it's the Speedster multiverse.
The version of the movie that Ezra Miller wants to make is more in the vein of the Zack Snyder universe, Dark Flashpoint. The version of the movie that the Spider-Man Homecoming people are wanting to make is a little bit more in the vein of Back to the Future. It's a little bit brighter, like Wonder Woman 1984 and Aquaman. So obviously DC is going in a much brighter direction, so I just do not expect them to pick Ezra Miller's script over the other script. But officially, they haven't commented on that recently, so we probably won't find out about that till the summer. But I do think that they're going to recast Ezra Miller because they want to start shooting the Flash movie towards the end of this year, early next year. We still don't know what's going to happen with Superman in the Man of Steel franchise. Obviously, they're going to continue to make more Superman films, but I'm not expecting to hear any kind of news about that before the end of this year. But there'll probably be some rumors going on. And Henry Cavill is obviously doing the Witcher franchise. I'll be doing episode videos for that, but I believe that's not going to premiere till December. So just expect a lot of Henry Cavill news to be happening later this year. Let me know in the comments, what are all your reactions about this? What do you think about the way they're changing the universe, about the idea of them doing a world's greatest detective Batman franchise in the vein of Mask of the Phantasm? When we get more updates, I will do more videos about that, but obviously we have Crisis on Infinite Earths happening on the TV shows. I'll do a teaser trailer video for that this weekend, so just look out.